Hi there, my name's Dan Wilson. I'm here to give an introduction to the BTEC Gradebook that I've designed in Google Sheets. I'm going to give a run through to show the key features of what it can do. I won't go into depth about everything and I won't show everything that it can do, just the key features to keep this video as short as possible. The thing is built in Google Sheets, so it just needs a browser with an internet connection to run. And I've made a live preview available on my website, rapidreportshq.com. That's actually how I'll be accessing it today behind me, straight from my website. So I'll get stuck in and you'll be able to get stuck in as well, to have a little fiddle, see how things work. So let's get started. So this is my website, rapidreportshq.com. If you go to the Gradebook page, there is a Gradebook that's actually embedded into the page here, so you can access it that way, but it gives you a bit of a restricted viewport. So I've put a link to the folder. There's a link there, you click the link and this will open up. You can toggle between icons and a list. Because you're handling multiple groups and there are some features to work across the groups, there are multiple spreadsheets in any one set. There are some spreadsheets for each group, and then there's a management spreadsheet. I also have a class transfer one. I'm just going to introduce the group and management one today. I've got the management open already, but if you click on the spreadsheet you want to open and then click this pop out button up the top right to actually edit the spreadsheet. So when it opens up, this is the view that will come up. This is the progress monitor, which gives a detailed view of any one student's progress in the course. To make it easier to see, I'm going to switch the browser to full screen, and you can also, because you won't really need to use these menus up here, you can also change the view to full screen on Google Sheets itself as well. It makes it easier to work with. So as I said, this gives you detailed information about one student's progress in the course so far. So I'll start here. This is not where input is done, I'll show that afterwards. Sometimes it takes a few seconds for the information to update. So just let it update, there we go. Everything is color coded in here as well. Okay, you've got the only input that needs to be done here is to choose the student's name. So you choose your student. I've got an anonymous list of students, student A to student S. So if we go to student B, for example, it takes a few seconds because some of the calculations are done in the cloud, but only a few seconds, and then it'll update with that student's information. So what information are you given? This table here shows you their progress in the year 1 units. This table in the year 2 units. There's a name, that's their group. This is one sheet for this group, so year 2 group 1 is the group that I'm working with here. This is their overall grade, and that's the overall number of points that the student has. There's a key on the left to give you an idea of what each symbol and colour means in each of the cells. Each cell here corresponds to one criterion. So this is, all these ones here are unit 1. That's all unit 1. And then you cross-reference pass, merit, or distinction with the numbers up here. So you can have, down the left here, this is P1, P2, P3, P4, and so on. This is M1, 2, 3, 4, D1, 2, 3, 4. Where they're grey, that criterion doesn't exist. Okay, so that's what that's showing. If it's got a green tick, then they've passed it. So you know that this student has got P1 to 8. Where it's white, that means that criterion hasn't been covered yet. So that's empty. These crosses and dashes here indicate that a student has either submitted something and not passed it, or they failed that criterion. The colouring in here, so that you might just be able to make out this is a light blue here, indicates that this student is currently achieving a merit for Unit 1. In Unit 2 they're achieving a pass, in Unit 3 they're achieving a distinction. That's the colour coding for the grades. Purple is pass, blue, merit, orange, distinction. Okay, you can see that there are some orange cells here. That means those criteria have been submitted, but the student needs to do a resubmission for those. Alright, so that's what we've got, all the Year 1 units there. Year 2 units are below, working in the same way. There's actually 9 units in my institution for Year 2, whereas there are 10 for Year 1. Over on the right here, we have additional information to show where the student lies on the scale of grades. So this student currently has 665 points for Year 1. This is the Year 1 number, so the number is mirrored here, but because they're a Year 2 student, it's combining the Year 1 and Year 2. But this shows where they finished in Year 1, and if you had a Year 1 group, then it would just show this information. This would remain empty. And so now you know that they're just 5 points short of going up a grade. So you could encourage a student to put a little bit more effort in, get another merit, so that they can move up to the next grade. So that's the grade scale there. That's the information that the Progress Monitor provides. There is a little bit more, so I'll come back to that in a moment. Let's go to where the grade entry is actually done. I think it's important that for the grade entry it's as simple and fast as possible, so that when teachers are marking work, it's not too tedious to actually put the marks into the gradebook. Because it's done with Google Sheets, you can collaborate in real time. You can have one teacher inputting marks for Unit 1, another teacher is inputting marks for Unit 4 at the same time, no problems. That's a bit more difficult to achieve with Excel. So you can have real-time collaboration. In fact, if you go back here, over here, because I've got the live preview open on the website, it's logged that person in anonymously, logged me in anonymously, and I can see that they're editing there. So the only thing you can't do is I couldn't, on this grade entry, I couldn't change this to a cross if someone else was editing that exact cell. But that shouldn't happen, because if you teach P1 to P4 for Unit 1 for this group, it's unlikely you've got another teacher doing that, or if you have got two teachers teaching the same thing, just one of them would probably be marking it. So that shouldn't be a problem. Right, this is where the grade entry is done. You have the list of student names here. You've got some information here about how many pass, merit and distinction criteria there are and so on. That's not too important. What you want to know is how you put the marks in. So I've left these spreadsheets, they're live previewed so that you can see how it works. I've put lots of data in already, but I've cleared P9 so you can see how it works. None of what you put into this column is going to count against or for a student until it's ticked off up here. So when you've met the deadline for a criterion, you tick that, you've done all the marking, you tick this, now it'll start counting against them. The grades for the unit are shown here, but I'll come back to that. So let's say student A has passed, give them a tick, student B has passed. Just using a drop-down menu, there's a little drop-down menu button within the cell, you click that. This student needs to do a resubmission, so I've given them a hyphen, turns the cell yellow. This student the same, and so on. There are additional options for perhaps a student takes it back for resubmission and then passes. So I've got some additional ticks there to indicate that. If you had a student who needs to do a retake, then you can tick that as well. So it still counts the same as having passed it in terms of work calculating a grade, but it's just a way of visually knowing whether a student really needs to put some extra effort in because they're doing lots of resubmissions, for example. Anyway, but usually what you're going to find is most of your students are going to pass first time, so you want a quick way to do that. You can just tick the top one and then drag and fill, just like you would in Excel. Or if you wanted to copy and paste, you can use keyboard shortcuts, Control-C, select those, Control-V, and then you might just go back and tweak it and say, well, this student, they needed to do, sorry, hyphen, that student needs to do a resub, and so did that one. Worst comes to worst, you may have a student fail. Hopefully there won't be too many of those. You can put a cross in there to indicate that they failed that criteria. That would obviously be more relevant for merits and distinctions. Anyway, so that's how you put the marks in. And you can see all the grades are calculated here. So this student, they've got all of the passes, all of the merits and all of the distinctions, so they're getting a distinction for that unit. This student has got all the passes and merits. They've only got one distinction criterion. That's not enough to get a distinction, but it is enough to get a merit, and so on. And then if a student is missing any passes where this is ticked, then it gives them a U. Same colour coding as before. So that's how it works. As I said, if I were to untick this, then nothing is counted to, against or for a student, so there's no U's showing up from student A to Q, because even though these two are doing the resub, we haven't actually reached the deadline or the point where you want to actually count that criterion against the student. So that's grade entry. Now if I go back to Progress Monitor, I've got student B on there, so I'm going to change student B to the hyphen, and then, as I said, it takes a few seconds for this page to update, but when it does, we'll see that this student is has now not achieved all of the passes that count for Unit 1. So there is no grade coloured in here because they're not achieving pass, merit or distinction for Unit 1 anymore, and it's highlighted the unit in red, so we know exactly in which unit the problem lies. It's orange because they're currently doing a resub. So if you had everyone through and you just had 1 or 2 resubs, you might want to actually count it so that students know where they stand in terms of their final grade. So that's how things change on the Progress Monitor. There are some additional things that you may have spotted. Up here, this message tells you it only appears when a student has a U in a unit. If a student has a U in a unit, it says, well, if that student converted that U into a pass, or if they had 3 U's, if they converted all of them into P's, then what their points would be and what that grade would be. So if they managed to turn that into a pass, then they would have 655 points, which is an MPP. You could look that up on that scale there. Obviously, this student, if they get that up to a pass, they'll have a merit, so you could just add on the difference in points, which in this case is 10 points, so you could do that. And it would also give them a fallback grade if one is available. The way that you customise, it's possible to customise fallback grades. Anyway, so that's the Progress Monitor. Those are the key features of it. These unit tabs down here, they're colour coded. Green ones are first years and the blue ones are second year units. Then there's a list of grades, just gives you the final grade for each unit, for each student in the group. And so you've got year 1 units, year 2 units, and then at the end, if students have got U's in any units, it gives you a warning here. So student F has a U in 5 units. It tells you how many U's each student has, if they have any. And then the class monitor breaks it down to how many pass, merit and distinctions the student has in each unit. So those are the key things for this gradebook for the group. There are some additional features to do with that would be useful for a course leader, so they can get an idea of how things are going across all the unit and changing things through the course quite easily. Just one more thing on this sheet, this tells you how many pass criteria students are missing, if they're missing any. in that group. So let's go over to the Gradebook Manager. This is the management spreadsheet, so I'll just give you a bit of an intro into this one. It's a different sheet, but it all links into the group sheets. You can go full screen here as well to make it easy to work with. So the first thing is to make all the registers here. You can put in teacher initials because you can assign teachers to each assignment within the group sheets. The lists of units you'll actually be teaching, these are the unit titles and so on. So all that information gets put in here, and all of the other spreadsheets pull that data out. You can put deadlines in here, you can put, this is where you assign the teachers to assignments, how many points a student gets for pass, merit and distinction in different units. It's all managed here, so it's quite central. Here you get a list in the class manager, you get a list of all the students who are missing pass criteria, because pass criteria are the most important. Without those you can't achieve any grade. This gives you that list so that you can very quickly see which group and which students you need to have a chat with to try and encourage to get those pass criteria done. So this is very useful for a course leader. Then this is the unit grade sheet that's available in each group's spreadsheet, but with this drop down menu you can look at any of the groups that are linked to this spreadsheet. So this is year 2 group 2, we can go to year 2 group 1, which is the one we were just in, and then very quickly get an idea again of any students that you need to follow up with. And this last one is where you customise the fallback options. So you can put the fallback options in here, and all the other sheets will grab that information out so that you can get, if you need it, any fallback data for your students. Because this is available on the internet, it's also possible to give students a view so that they can see where they need to put extra effort in to make sure they're getting all the criteria they need for their grade. So that's available. I'm not going to show that right now, but it is available, it's possible to do. So those are the key features of this BTEC Gradebook. I hope you find it interesting. I'm planning to do some more videos to show more details about how things work. Hopefully that'll do for an overview.